Right, the next step in our SEO puzzle is active content. We want to be sure that our website is active and the content is fresh. Why? Because Google looks at recency as relevancy. If your content is recent, it is relevant in Google's eyes, or at least more relevant. So we want to make sure that we're updating our content and our website so that the last article was not written in 1982. Why? Because the last thing that you want is Google to look at your website and say, oh, this is amazing content, this is really great stuff, and then this is what they find, a ghost town with nothing going on. So producing fresh content can be a struggle, especially if you do not have many bookings or your work is seasonal. So let's go through a few ideas of what you can post for content to keep your website active. And here's my promise to you. If you post once per week for 6 months, you are going to see incredible results. So make sure that you are actually posting. That is the main thing. The strategy itself is not that complicated. Post often and do it consistently. If you do that, you will see results. So let's hop over and give you some content ideas. I would encourage you, just block out an hour per week. That's all you really need to produce a piece of content, and just do it once per week at the same time every single week, and you will be golden. So let's hop over, and I'm just going to show you my website and what I did when I was starting out. So this is my blog, and again, if you ever go to this website, which you might have already looked at it, you probably won't find it the most amazing website you've ever seen, and the photos are not the best photos you've ever seen. I guarantee it. And that is kind of an encouragement for you, because it doesn't mean you have to have absolutely stunning, perfect, amazing work before you can get bookings. I get tons of bookings, tons of requests. That's just because I'm using these strategies that I have given you. So let's go and look at some of my older stuff. This is back, now no judgments. These are very well hidden now in my website. They don't show up on the front page and you have to search to find them. But these are just examples of content I created back when I didn't have shoots. So I had, every once in a while, I had some photos that I would post, and I would really emphasize where that location was, and I would do keywords and that sort of thing. But then I started creating content for what brides were looking for, because mine is a wedding photography website. I wanted to create wedding-related articles. So if you do weddings, that's what you want to do. If you have a business selling cat toys, you want to do different articles surrounding cats. So different tips for cat owners and how to train your cat, how to litter box train, what kind of essential things do you need to know if you own a cat, all those kind of articles. So let me show you some ideas of how you come up with content. These are some of the little pieces that I put together. 10 most common wedding mistakes, free wedding planning resources, great photo shoot locations in the area. And this is one that I kind of struck gold by accident, Okanagan wedding venues. Now that's the kind of region. This is my city, Kelowna, and then here are some surrounding cities. I went through and I essentially found all of the wedding venues in the Okanagan, and I listed them in one big post. So let's just take a look at this really quickly. And I went through and I grabbed a photo of each, and I just put a little bit of info and a link to their website. Now, today, I would do a much better job at this. I would do a little bit of a write-up on each. I would make it look a lot nicer, but this is back in the day when I was still figuring things out, had no idea how to do web design, and I just went through and I grabbed a bunch of venues and I posted it. And this isn't even all the venues in the area. They were just probably 20 of them. And what's really crazy about this particular article is it wound up getting me a ton of traffic, a ton of shares, a ton of traffic, and even today, probably 30 or 40% of all of my brides come through articles like this. If not this exact article, it still gets me a ton of traffic, and it's ranking #1 when people type, or at least it was at one point, for Okanagan wedding venues. That would be the top search result. So that's how crazy this content is. You want to create stuff, hopefully, that is local to your location when possible. So for instance, if you're a dog trainer in Vancouver, you'd want to write articles surrounding that location. So you might look up the Vancouver area and say, okay, here's an article on Burnaby dog parks, or here's dog-friendly beaches in the Vancouver area. 10 great places to walk your dog in Yaletown. Those kind of articles are very specific to a location, and therefore the people who read them are going to probably be from that location and more likely to do business with you if you happen to have a local business. Now, obviously, if you have an online business, that doesn't apply quite as much. You can take general articles and do business with people around the world. But if you have a local business, make sure you're being aware of that and targeting location-specific keywords. And you can get content ideas, again, by going back to Neil Patel's Uber Suggest. Go through here, and we're just going to put in your location and an area of interest for your customers. So let's say that you are a photographer in, what do we got, Detroit? Wedding. And we'll just put wedding, not wedding photography. Then we go through, and we'll just have some keyword overview, and some suggestions will pop up. So it's Just pulling that up, and we've got the most beautiful wedding venues in Detroit. Compare prices for all the wedding venues. Reception wedding venues. Inexpensive wedding venues. Unique Detroit wedding venues. And so what I could do is I could even go in and say, okay, this is top result number 1. I could go through and I could borrow some of their information. Now I'm going to rewrite it, obviously. I'm not going to just copy it and copy the images and put it on my website. That would be a recipe for a disaster. But in general, see how they have used their photos from Instagram, taken it right across, and just added some information. It's super easy, super simple, and you can take this information. I could take all of these top posts, and I could grab every single wedding venue across all of them, compile it all on my website, and all of a sudden, brides in Detroit are going to come to my website looking for wedding venues. And in the process, I know that they're not necessarily looking for photography at that exact moment, but they are going to see that they're on ryanbrightwrightsphotography.com, and then they might check out some of my images, or I can even sprinkle some of mine throughout the article. So let me show you another way you can come up with content. Let's just go in here and go wedding planning on Pinterest, and bam, we have all of these content ideas right here. So you can go through and say, okay, sample wedding budgets from 2K to 3K, 30K, that sounds great, 50 mistakes every bride makes. Now you can rework these to any type of business. So for instance, you have a kayak shop, this could be 50 mistakes every beginning kayaker makes. We scroll down here, get your free printable wedding binder. That could be if you do business coaching, click here to get your free business coaching checklist or your free business planning checklist. Just remake these articles into something of your own. And it doesn't have to be complicated. If you are not a writer, for instance, let's go through here. 8 ways to surprise your groom on the day. So I could go through here, and if I wanted to, I'm not going to copy it exactly, but I could go through, grab, let's close this pop-up. Go through, grab all this text. Dun, 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 dun. Perfect. What an ugly mess. We'll just delete all of these photos. Bam, I've got my text, okay? So I could literally go through here, create a separate new document, and just rewrite as I go. I don't have to be an expert. I don't have to come up with all of this content out of the top of my head. I could go through and say, okay, first line is when it comes to planning a wedding. When you're planning a wedding, it's pretty common for the groom to be overlooked. Right, and I would just go through and I would rewrite exactly what is here. Now, it's not about copying people. You want to produce your own content when you can, but that is just a really easy way to produce content, especially if you struggle with writing, okay? It's not about copying, but it is okay to borrow. Picasso himself said, one of the greatest artists of all time, good artist copy. Oh, sorry. Yeah, good artists copy, great artists steal. So it's okay to take what is good and what is working from somebody else's article and mix up your own article. I would take 4 or 5 different articles on a similar topic, and then I would mesh them all together into the top tips. So this is 8 ways to surprise a groom. Maybe I'd take 4 different articles and put together 29 ways to surprise your groom on the big day. Okay, so that is how to come up with content. Your action item for this particular section is to post once per week for the next 6 months. So take out your phone, take out your calendar, whatever it is, and write in that slotted time. If you don't do it, it's not going to happen. If you don't schedule it, you are not going to remember. You're going to get busy. Things are going to get bogged down. And this is one of those things where consistency is what pays off. It's consistently taking the right actions over time that you're going to see the best results. So that is it for this video.